asking, and here it is. We're going to go in depth. I'm going to go over the Paragon Board points. We're going to go over the aspects. We're going to go over the skill trees and why I think mine has higher survivability rate and why mine is a better damage output than most people's I've seen on the internet. Hey guys, Arios here again with another tips and guide build. This one's a very in-depth guide build, so it's going to be a little longer. Bear with me. But for the people that want to know what my rapid rogue build is and how I do so much damage, you guys have been asking, and here it is. We're going to go in depth. I'm going to go over the Paragon Board points. We're going to go over the aspects. We're going to go over the skill trees and why I think mine has higher survivability rate and why mine is a better damage output than most people's I've seen on the internet. Let's get into it. Let's jump into the skill tree off the bat. So with the skill tree, we are immediately going to the basic skill, which I actually currently don't use in this build. We'll go over why. We use rapid fire, you know that. It's our main build, our main skill. We use up into the subnode of improved rapid fire, gives 15% energy per cast when damages a vulnerable enemy. This is what keeps our energy maximized throughout the whole fight without our basic skill. So that's how we're able to keep our energy up without the basic skill. And then our siphoning strikes, this is increased survivability for lifesteal. This gives you close damage reduction. This is for survivability. Stutter step, critical striking an enemy grants 15% movement speed for 4 seconds. This is actually huge for kiting your mobs around, so you have your shield little pathway from your boots. Get them frozen in that. Shadow step, you want to go to the methodical subnode. This is very important. This is what I use this for. In my opinion, I think this is great for getting treasure goblins and not worrying about them getting away or running very fast, or for you to get out of a instrumental death area where you're about to get CC'd and like AoE'd and death down. You could shadow step to your farthest person away. And a cool thing I like to use it for as well, so when you're on those like pesky little mountains, right, you could shadow step down off the mountain, so you don't have to walk all the way around on the trail, go down the mountain and then go kill the mobs. You could shadow step down the mountain to the monster directly, so you skip a whole big old trail. You can skip with that, which helps out a lot with gameplay and you mid-maxing your time where you're at. Weapon masteries, daggers and swords is very important for the people that want to increase your maximum damage output for your rogue. Make sure you put 3 into that. And this is where I become a little different in survivability. I use dark shrouds. I use dark shrouds up to countering dark shroud subnode. This is good because when you have at least 4 active shadows up, you gain 8% critical strike chance. Very, very good for this build and gives you more survivability rate. For some people, they say you walk into the fight and your dark shrouds disappear immediately. I agree with that. Don't disagree. But if you kite properly, you can get that to your full advantage and make it worth your while to put those into dark shroud instead of having like a second agility effect. And then I use exploit. You deal 18% more damage to healthier and injured enemies. This one's you deal 9% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Like I was saying, this build is built around vulnerable damage. This is why we use poison trap. It gives us vulnerable damage everywhere. With our blast trapper aspect, we'll go farther into that. Here we use shadow imbuement, 5 into that, up into the blended shadow imbuement subnode. The shadow imbuement primary explosions make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. Again, we build into vulnerable damage because this is huge, and when they explode, they make everybody else imbued around them, and when they explode, more imbuements and etc. Everyone's vulnerable the whole time, the whole fight. Multiple explosions, never run out of damage. Everyone dies. It's very fast combat. It's very nice. And I use frigid finesse here. This is very important, I think, for my aspect of the build because I use these boots, the pennant graves, that give you a trail of frost that chills enemies. You deal 10% more increased damage to chilled enemies on top of the other ones you have from chilled enemies, which is this. So you gain another 30% from the 6 into it because I have 3 from amulet. So I gain a total of 40% just from having the boots and damage alone. And I use the Shadow Clone skill all the way up to the Supreme Shadow Clone, which you increase an additional 20% of your damage while you're using Shadow Clone. So Shadow Clone, in my opinion, this is very, 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 very nice, because when you use your ultimate skill here, you literally reload all of your cooldowns on every single one of your skills. So you'll be able to use your Shadow Imbuement again after you popped it, your Poison Trap after you popped it, your Dark Shroud after you popped it. So the best time to use your Shadow Clone is when all these are down. So you could use all these immediately, have your Imbuement already on your weapon, use that again, your Imbuement will already be able to be available again to use once again, which is amazing. And it gives you massive damage. This is Adrenaline Rush. It gives you, while moving, you gain 5% increased energy regeneration. This makes it to where you have more energy regeneration for not being able to use your basic skill and use Rapping Fire. So you always want to be kiting, so you get that extra 5% regeneration. And this is a haste. This is a massive movement speed increase with your energy being above a certain percent. And you gained 15% attack speed when you're below 50%. So either way, you're getting buffs when you're above or below energy. So wherever you're at in your energy thing there, you're always gaining buffs. And then I use precision here. Critical strikes with marksman skills grants you precision. You gain 4% increased critical strike damage per stack of precision. This is amazing, and all precision stacks are removed after you are guaranteed a 40% critical strike damage increase when you are at the maximum stacks of precision. So let's go into the Paragon here. This Paragon's very in-depth, very well thought out. I really enjoy it. I think it's amazing. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. I use Ranger here. This gives you 42% more marksman skill damage. This is most of our damage. We're using a marksman skill damage. Marksman skill for most of our damage was the rapid fire. So this is absolutely instrumental to our damage here. We are using Exploit. Once again, vulnerable damage is massive. You can see how much vulnerable damage I have for this build. It's about 305%. That's freaking insane. So now we're at Exploit. Okay, so we'll go here, and then we're at the No Witness nodes here. Your ultimate skills deal another 30% increased damages and grants you 10% increased damage for 20 seconds. So your ultimate skill gets 30% more passive damage for the damage you're dealing, and you gain a massive 10% increase damage for 20 seconds. That's insane. If you do enough energy cost, you could constantly have No Witness up continuously. Cheap Shot, you deal 5% increased damage for each nearby enemy that is crowd controlled. This is where it becomes in play with your Poison Trap, and why is it so important. It is massive because you see the X next to those are stacks that can go up to 25%. It's huge. Efficiency, grant 45% bonus to all rare nodes within the range. So there's a lot of rare nodes here, but I haven't really leveled them yet, right? So we're gonna be leveling them soon. But when it's leveled, this is 12% damage reduction from slowed enemies. 12% damage reduction from slowed enemies, and we get more dexterity. And if you see 15% damage to crowd control enemies if requires are met, which requires are both met here, this gives you 45% bonus on all of that. It's insane. So I need to really level this glyph, but I have not leveled my glyphs yet. They're all probably level like 9, 10, 7. I've been doing XP videos and trying to figure out what the best XP is for you guys, so you guys have the best gameplay possible. I freaking love you guys, and I appreciate all the support. I am new at YouTube and all this stuff, so if you guys wouldn't mind commenting down below, tell me what you guys think about the content, like the video, hit the subscribe button, maybe hit the little bell for you get no notifications. I appreciate you guys so much. Combat, for every 5% intelligence purchased within range, core skills deal 3.5% increased critical strike damage, which is absolutely insane. We need to get more intelligence within the range, so we just need to buy a couple more level this a couple more times, and we'll be able to get these in there, and it'll be done. The range will be met, and then it'll be we'll get skills that critically strike, restore 12% of energy costs. This is where I'm messing up. I actually will level this today. This gives me way more energy while I'm critically striking them, which basically I almost have constant critical strike with all the passives I got going on, if you guys haven't noticed. And then now we're going to go into specializations here. We use preparation. Every 100 energy reduces your ultimate skill by 4 seconds. That's what I was saying. If you use enough energy, this will lower your cooldown down to like 20 seconds instead of 40, and you'll be able to constantly have no witness up, which is huge. Let's get into the aspects here. This is for survivability. Really good roll. For some reason, it says I have 5,674, which is higher than the max roll. Somebody comment down below if you guys know how that happened, or if you guys have had that happen before. But I have above a perfect roll on the barrier absorbing. And then here, I have 41 out of 77, which is kind of like a mid roll, which is really good. This is something you want to like look into for like passive life regeneration when you are in like a pickle or close to a lot of enemies. This is very important to have if you don't have that enough life to stay alive. This is for more DPS. I do 10% chance to do arrow storms around the enemy's location. It does 4,200 damage per pull, and it can have up to 5 arrow storms up at once, which is absolutely insane for the amount of AoE damage I already do. This just amplifies it by a lot. I have a marksman skills up to 36% grants you a dark free shroud. So this is where it comes in the effect of the dark shroud giving you that 8% critical strike in chance when you have 4 active shrouds. It's really good to have. These are the Painted Graves. You guys know about these. This is the bread and butter of the build. Rapid fire here has an 87% chance to ricochet to another target. With that being said, when you shoot your rapid fire, it'll hit another target with an 80% chance to, which is almost pretty much 100. You might as well say it always does. Everyone's imbued from that. Everyone's vulnerable. Everyone explodes, and I get 12% increased critical strike damage per gem, and all 3 of my weapons, so 4 of them, 48% total damage when they're critical strike, 2 vulnerable damage, which is another 300% increase. And then here we go. This is that core strikes, gives you more attack speed. This is Edge Masters, 19% increased damage based on your primary available resource. Corruption, this is vulnerable damage. This is where it becomes potency, and you get more damage with your imbuement skills from vulnerable enemies, which comes, everyone's vulnerable with this build if you haven't heard it 5 times already. And this is smiting. You have an 18% chance to increase critical strike against injured while you are healthy, which most of the time you should be healthy because you're constantly kiting. You have high survivability, you have barriers, you have dark shrouds. You gain 36% increased crowd control duration, which is massive. And here is another bread and butter, which is huge for your vulnerability with your traps, because you have to constantly use your traps in this build. Dealing direct damage to enemies affected by your trap skills has a 75% chance to make them vulnerable for 3 seconds. That right there, chat, is one of the best aspects for this build, along with the Twisted Blades build. It literally makes everything vulnerable, and you just see everything destroy. Everything just drops down dead. I appreciate you guys. Tell me what you guys think down below. This is my rapid fire build. Peace. You guys have an amazing one. Take care.